Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about the ever-present, pervasive, and previously growing streaming and entertainment service Netflix, who's been facing a little bit of a rocky summer this year to say the least. And I think I know why. It's been no secret that Netflix has been getting more and more woke with each passing year, and they've been known to cater to and cave into social justice warriors recently too. Like in our last Netflix-related video where the SJWs attacked them and their show Stranger Things for having characters who smoke cigarettes. Never mind the fact that other shows on the service have things that are worse like gratuitous violence or even sexual assault, but apparently that's all gravy to the left-leaners, as long as the characters aren't legally smoking tobacco, God forbid. Ridiculous, I know, but regardless, Netflix caved in to their wishes anyway, promising to dial back the on-screen smoking and to include warnings on shows that already have it. Talk about pandering. And that's only the beginning of Netflix's wokeness too, which is getting them to eventual brokenness as well. But before we get to their new and more recent and official decline, let's first turn back and see more of where this politically correct progressive bullshit began for the service. Netflix wasn't always political and pro-SJW. I in fact remember getting the original service over 10 years ago when they were still mailing people DVDs. But then, around 2010, Netflix started their now dominant streaming service, and a few years later was when they began making their own shows for it too. Enter their now infamous show Orange is the New Black, one of their first and most popular original Netflix shows. And it's also a show that began the whole SJW woke fest at the company as well. This show, of course, was presented as this progressive all-girl thing that basically amounted to a show with a bunch of lesbians and minorities hanging out in women's jail. Wasn't bad to watch for the first few seasons either, but as the show carried on, things got worse and more cringy and just plain hard to watch. Just look at this cast picture, for example. Can this thing get any more women in it? Wouldn't mind that too much either. I'm fine with women and whoever having their own thing once in a while, but the thing that really irks me about this is guys would never be allowed to have their own all-guy thing like this. An all-guy show, or God forbid, an all-white one, that would never fly with these same SJWs, who ironically push this all-girl stuff all the time. Speaking of racial biases against white people, the next Netflix original that I want to talk about actually might have even coined the term woke in the first place. Dear White People came out about 2 years ago in 2017, and this one really ushered in this new wave of liberal-influenced pro-SJW politics at Netflix. And as you can see by this clip's title, the term woke actually started with shows like this. They claimed to be woke seriously back then, like they were more awake or aware of how the world really is. And according to them, the world is really racist against minorities and black people, and all white people are racist white supremacists, but we all know that's hogwash. And over time, 2 years later, and now us, the anti-SJWs, are using the term woke to mock and call out these lefties. Dear White People, of course, was even more racist and anti-white than that, literally speaking down to and patronizing white America right in the title and throughout the whole show. And the show gets worse too, but despite these controversies and racist claims, Dear White People will be getting a third season that's coming out later this week, coincidentally enough. And this pro-black anti-white show, of course, would never fly in the inverse. Much like how Orange is the New Black gets away with an all-female thing, Dear White People gets away with an all-black people thing that's also anti-white. Think about it. Do you guys really think a show called Dear Black People, starring all white people, would get made by Netflix? Or made by anyone for that matter? Not a chance in hell. And that's only the beginning. Other woke, liberal-leaning Netflix projects worth mentioning here include first, a documentary series called The Racial Divide. This is a kind and sympathetic reality show about a girl who pretended to be black to get into college and to get hired for her job and everything. Rachel Dolezal is the famous fake black chick here who got caught lying about being an African descendant many years ago. Her parents are white, but she pretends to be black in order to get special treatment and ass pats from liberals. Yet, still, despite all this, Netflix is so woke, they're even throwing money at and pandering to fake black people now, apparently. And speaking of fake black people, the Obamas are also getting some cushy deals with Netflix as well. They've signed on to produce a slew of shows and films for them. And well, it doesn't really get much more woke than supporting the most politically correct progressive president of our lifetime, who also probably only got the job because he's half black. Okay, and now, well, I think we've thoroughly supported the fact that Netflix has been getting more and more political and pro-liberal lately. Next, let's talk about their new and ongoing decline. While there are other factors that are involved here, which I'll get to as well, but I do think the woke PC progressive stuff is what first started to turn people off towards Netflix. The years and years of white bashing and SJW SJW pandering has finally caught up with the streaming service. And not only are they losing subscribers this summer for the first time ever, but also Netflix is losing some of their biggest shows, like The Office and Friends. And this is a big blow to them, make no mistake. Many even joke about the fact that Netflix is basically just a streaming service for The Office. And now without that big hitter in their lineup in the future, they could be in for more trouble, to say the least. And this recent downturn for Netflix comes at a pretty interesting and relevant time too. Just a few weeks back, I remember seeing a story where Netflix attacked our boys over at the Straight Pride Parade, happening in Boston in August. This article has some pretty biased details about how Netflix called out the Straight Pride Parade and supported their usual stereotypically SJW detractors. It says, Netflix had an amazing response to the organizers of the Straight Pride Parade, who were insinuating that they had corporate sponsors. Super Happy Fun America is organizing a Straight Pride Parade in Boston for this coming August. The organizers have ties to white supremacy. Yeah, right. On their website, they wrote a post about prospective corporate sponsors, which included the logos of a bunch of major corporations. This did not make those corporations happy, and Netflix had a great way of telling them. Well, first of all, this parade isn't tied to white supremacy at all. In fact, there's been no mention of race at all related to this upcoming event in the slightest. Besides, of course, the detractors and radical SJWs who are calling everyone at the Straight Pride Parade racist for no reason. And by the way, we here at No Bullshit are still going to this event, of course. We're going to attend the Straight Pride Parade in Boston at the end of August. That's still happening, and I wanted to make sure you guys know because some people have been asking since we announced it a while back and the fundraiser has been over and done with. But have no fear, guys. We are still going to the Straight Pride Parade, and our trip is booked and we're set to go there August 31st. We'll also have lots of videos and cool content coming around then, so stay tuned. But let's get back to today's story now and let's read on and see what else Netflix has to say. You should know that we're unafraid of bullies. Our legal department is here. It's queer, and it's telling you to steer clear. Netflix's IP department wrote in an email to Super Happy Fun America's leadership, you are using the Netflix logo to promote your event, which despite its name is about hate, not pride. That's not true. That's gross and deeply hurtful, but it's also deceptive misinformation and infringes on our legal rights. Netflix has nothing to do with your organization or event. Indeed, it's telling that you feel the need to lie to gain legitimacy, the company's lawyers wrote. Netflix gave Super Happy Fun America 24 hours to remove its logo from their website. Wow, I guess Netflix hates straight people now too. Shouldn't be too surprised here after all these other biased radical left-wing stances we've seen for them and gone over today. But geez, come on. They're really going to push this other fake narrative too? Saying the Straight Pride Parade is about hate? That's just not true. And just like those racist claims earlier, they're based on nothing. There's no evidence here and there's no support for that argument. Nothing anyone at the Straight Pride event has said has been racist, offensive, hateful, or degrading at all. They're a super happy group who just wants to have a fun parade for straight people. And they've never said anything hateful, negative, or disparaging in the slightest. If they have said something like that and I missed it, please, by all means, point it out, people. But Netflix really hasn't done that here, and I don't think anyone has, because those kinds of hateful comments just don't exist. With that said, without any evidence, let's just put it this way. You can't just say someone is hateful and racist without any backup. That doesn't work anymore, especially in current year where left-wingers are calling everyone names like this so much, the names have completely lost all meaning. Sucks to see Netflix dip this low into this SJW pool, but it's not too surprising either. And here's the kicker. Barely a week later, after bashing the Straight Pride Parade and attacking us straight people, calling us names for no reason, well, right after that was when Netflix started to report these losses in profit and subscribers. Coincidence? I think not. Sure, there are other factors involved here too, but I'm also sure all this woke, anti-white, anti-straight bullcrap isn't helping them in the slightest. Why would people like us stay around without that good content at Netflix anymore anyway? I know I'm much more likely to try another one of the other new streaming services coming out over staying loyal to people that hate me like Netflix. They have no loyalty to straight, white, or conservative people like me, so I'm not going to stick around after they've been bashing people like us for years, especially considering this upcoming exodus of some of its biggest and most major shows and movies. For another example, this article discusses whether or not Netflix will survive without shows like Friends and The Office, which, as I mentioned earlier, are leaving Netflix soon. But that's not all that's leaving, and that's not the only challenge Netflix is facing right now. Let's read on and you can see what I'm talking about more. Friends and The Office are two of Netflix's most watched shows, but they aren't the only thing leaving Netflix in the coming months. Disney is pulling all of its material too, including everything in the Marvel Universe, Star Wars, and traditional Disney kids content in order to begin offering their own streaming service, Disney Plus. Netflix has a few other strong competitors in the marketplace as well. Hulu, for instance, is offering more original content than ever before and has its own successes with hits like The Handmaid's Tale. Likewise, HBO offers all of its original and box office content on their various streaming platforms and have even partnered with Amazon to offer their subscription as an add-on to the already popular Amazon streaming. So the reason Netflix is losing a lot of its programming is because other companies are starting their own competing streaming services. And sure, while Netflix remains the big dog for now, I think this upcoming stiff competition could be worrisome for them. Losing Friends, The Office, Marvel, Star Wars, and all of Disney's products really takes a chunk away from what Netflix can offer us. And combine that with them getting more and more woke and leaving such a bad taste in people's mouth already, it's really no surprise their downfall is beginning. And I'm admittedly here cheering it on. Finally, before we go, this article from The Verge goes into more detail about Netflix losing subscribers specifically. It says this: Netflix reported earnings on Wednesday night, and the results were disastrous. The company saw its first major loss in US subscribers last quarter, and a mere 2.7 million paid customers added globally, nearly half of what was forecast. Stocks dropped by more than 10% just after the report came out. It's a terrifying slowdown for a service that's based on subscriber growth and raises new questions about how long the company can justify its content spending spree. On a call after the release, Netflix executives emphasized international markets where subscriber growth is still healthy. Nearly all the company's new subscribers were from international markets this quarter, and according to CEO Reed Hastings, there's still plenty of room to grow there. Well, looks like Netflix is really in trouble here. Not only are they hitting a ceiling on subscriber growth, they're also about to face some of the stiffest competition they've ever had, with Disney and Warner Brothers both coming out with new streaming services, among others already out there like CBS, ESPN, Amazon, Hulu, and so on. And it's hard to feel bad for Netflix and its service too, since not only have they attacked straight people just a few weeks before this, but they've also been bashing whites and getting woke and anti-male and progressive for years now. Really seems like the chickens are coming home to roost for Netflix, so to speak. And although I've been with the company since the beginning, I can't say I pity them or would even help them out in any way here if I could. After all the years of Netflix pissing on our feet and telling us it's raining, I can't say I would help, as they appear to be going up in flames. What do you guys think? Is Netflix breaking down? Will they be able to compete with other major streamers coming out with much more high-profile programming that Netflix just lost? And how much do you think their woke, anti-white, anti-straight, and anti-maleness is involved in their downfall here? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.